It is week 6 of the NFL season, and the New England Patriots are gearing up for what should be a showdown of epic proportion.
The Patriots take on the Indianapolis Colts for the first time since the AFC Championship game. We will be covering that and much more around the NFL coming up on the NESN Football Update.
NESN Football Update. My name is Ashley Allen, and with me today is Michaela Vernava. Michaela, guess what week it is?
Well, Ashley, they're calling it Revenge Week. One thing that is certain is there will be no shortage of bad blood at Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday night. The Colts obviously being the ones who ignited the Deflategate controversy, which was a major headache for the Patriots this offseason, but especially for Tom Brady. So I think he's going to be eager to return the favor by way of a beatdown. Now, as for the Colts, who stand at 3-2 with an ugly start to the season, quite frankly, I don't think they stand a chance.
Yeah, Michaela, I definitely agree with you on that one, but let's see what Doug Kyed has to say, who is here in studio to break down the matchup.
Thanks, Ashley. The Colts thought they'd be coming into this Week 6 matchup going up against a rusty Tom Brady, fresh off a 4-game suspension. But, of course, that suspension for Deflategate was overturned, and Brady's off to the hottest start of his NFL career, completing over 70% of his passes, 11 touchdowns, no picks. On paper, it does not look like the Colts will be much of a challenge for the Patriots. The Colts did make some improvements to their run defense this season, but they're still averaging over 100 yards per carry, so maybe we won't see a game like Jonas Gray had last year where he had 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, but I do still expect Dion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount to have big games on the ground for the Patriots. The Colts' pass defense, if anything, has taken a step backwards this season. Vontae Davis struggled last week, and he could have his hands full if he's asked to cover Julian Edelman or Rob Gronkowski, both of whom are really on a tear and on pace for historical seasons in the Patriots' offense. The Patriots' defense, unlike the Colts, actually seems to have been making some strides in recent weeks here. Patriots' pass defense is only allowing an 83.7 passer rating this season. They have 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They really took a step forward. Granted, it was against Brandon Weeden and Terrence Williams, but they really shut down that Cowboys offense last week, and they could look to continue that trend this week against the Colts. Colts' running offense, it's been so far. Frank Gore has been a bit of a disappointment, as has Andre Johnson. The Colts were expecting those veterans to come in this season and put up big numbers. Hasn't been the case so far. I think the Patriots won't have much of an issue stopping those guys here in Week 6. Now we've got Ashley, who's with Ricky Doyle, who has his pick for the week.
Thanks, Doug. We are here now with Ricky Doyle, and Ricky, Week 6 has a lot of good games on the schedule, but today let's talk revenge. The New England Patriots will face off against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday night. Are you going with or against the spread this week?
Tom Brady and Patriots really want to get revenge on the Colts for, I guess you could say, ruining this summer, and I think they're going to do it. You know, listen, Andrew Luck's a great quarterback. He's obviously missed a couple games, but most of all, this Colts defense is just not equipped to handle the New England offense. Colts 28th in the league against the pass. That just doesn't bode well for them. So I could see the Patriots winning this game by a couple scores.
All right, Ricky, I totally agree with you. Ricky will be back later in the show with his lock and upset predictions. But now let's send it over to Michaela and Mike for Mike's Power Rankings.
Thanks, Ashley. So, Mike, we're almost a third of the way through the NFL season, so teams are starting to make moves in the power rankings. Who is your riser this week?
Well, there's not a whole lot of rising going on because outside the top 5 or 6, everybody kind of stinks. But that being said, I like what the Philadelphia Eagles did on Sunday. Their offense finally showed up. Granted, it's against a horrible New Orleans defense, but the Eagles, looking ahead, they've got an opportunity to move into a tie for first place with a Monday night game against the Giants for the next 6 games against teams that are just trash.
Well, who is falling in the rankings?
The Baltimore Ravens really have been falling all season, and I think we might have seen the death knell on Sunday against the Cleveland Browns, a team that they should have beat, especially at home, a team that they never lose to at home. Ravens secondary, not very good to begin with, even worse now that they've lost Ladarius Webb and Will Davis for at least a short period of time. And again, Joe Flacco not playing very well at all, especially in the fourth quarter. His 56 quarterback rate in the fourth quarter is the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, I made the mistake of picking the Ravens when they were 0-3 as the team that might be able to bounce back. I thought Harbaugh and the coaching staff there might be able to dig them out of that hole, but not looking like it. But who is holding the #1 spot in your power rankings?
It's pretty boring at this point, but it's still the New England Patriots. I thought last week the Patriots would cover that. And kind of as game got closer, I was like, maybe they could have some trouble. They did have trouble in the first half. The Cowboys did a great job of getting after Tom Brady, but the Patriots, as they always do, made their adjustments and rolled.
So keeping an objective stance, are your Green Bay Packers that number 2?
They are for now. They got a tough stretch of schedule coming up, so that could change. But yeah, for now, number 2 at the Pack.
All right, thanks, Mike. Now let's send it to Nick Goss, who has your fantasy mailbag.
Thanks, Michaela. You've sent us your fantasy football questions via our Twitter and Facebook pages this week, and we're going to answer a few of them here. Darius wants to know if it's safe to start Gary Barnidge, tight end for the Cleveland Browns. It is absolutely safe. He scored a touchdown in 3 straight weeks, and he had a monster game in Week 5, 139 yards receiving on 8 catches and a touchdown against a good Baltimore defense. Definitely start him this week, especially in DraftKings one-day leagues. Juan wants to know if he should start Peyton Manning this week, even though he's been struggling, or maybe mix it up and go with Ryan Tannehill or Josh McCown. I wouldn't start Ryan Tannehill this week. He's averaged less than 250 yards passing in each of the last 2 weeks, and he has 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in that span. I would, however, start Josh McCown. I know he has a tough matchup against a good Broncos pass defense, but he's had 340 yards passing in 3 straight weeks, and he has 6 touchdowns in that span too. The Broncos should be up in this game, probably the entire game, which will force McCown to throw a lot of passes, which should make him fantasy relevant this week. Now let's go to Ashley Allen, who's with Ricky Doyle, who will give us his locks and upsets of the week.
And we are back here with Ricky Doyle for his lock and upset predictions. Ricky, let's first start with locks. Who do you see winning big this week?
I like the Arizona Cardinals over the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cardinals, I think last week, people were kind of skeptical to see how they would bounce back from their first loss of the season, but I think they're pretty legit. They're a 3-headed monster at running back. David Johnson, Andre Ellington, and Chris Johnson have the ability to wear teams down. It was nice. It was an adorable little comeback that the Steelers had on Monday night, but that was against the Chargers, who, they're prone to commit turnovers, whereas the Cardinals, I think they're going to force some turnovers, so I could see the Cardinals winning that game by at least a touchdown.
And how about an upset, Ricky?
I like the Carolina Panthers over the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle just doesn't seem right now. There's something about them. That offensive line has been terrible. Jimmy Graham still isn't. He's still trying to get his footing in that offense. Yeah, I could see Carolina going in there, using their tight ends. Greg Olsen might have a big game against some Seattle's and having trouble slowing down tight ends. So I could see Carolina going in there with their +8 turnover differential and causing some problems for Seattle.
All right, thanks, Ricky. Now we're going to send it back to Nick Goss, who has his DraftKings fantasy lineup.
With DraftKings, you can set a new lineup every week. Here's mine for Week 6. As you can see, my lineup is heavy on Patriots players this week. That's because the Pats are traveling to Indy to take on the Colts, the team that started the whole Deflategate fiasco. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady won't show the Colts any mercy, and when you factor in the fact that Indy has the 5th worst pass defense in the league, expect big days from Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, and Dion Lewis. A great value pick this week is San Diego Chargers tight end Antonio Gates at just $4,600. He caught 9 passes for 92 yards and 2 touchdowns on Monday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was his season debut after serving a 4-game suspension, and there's little reason to believe the likely Hall of Famer won't be an elite tight end for the rest of the year.
Now, Ashley, you had a chance to delve into a little Tom Brady history this week, and if there's one thing we know about the GOAT's NFL journey, it's that it hasn't been without its bumps in the road, but we know that TB12 doesn't cower in the face of adversity. It's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah, that's right, Michaela. At this point last year, the Patriots were 2-2, and a lot of people were convinced that Tom Brady's time as an elite NFL quarterback was over. Now, fast forward 1 year, the Patriots are undefeated, and Tom Brady has once again proved himself to be one of the best comeback athletes of all time. On September 29, 2014, the New England Patriots were trampled on and humiliated by the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium after getting their doors blown off during a 41-14 game they were never in. Tom Brady was beat up, sacked, and intercepted twice before he was relieved of his duties, reinforcing the notion that the Patriots' golden boy was on his way out. And comments from scouts, analysts, and just about every media outlet gave new meaning to being kicked when down. So what did Brady do in the games following? What he's done since he started playing the game of football: fight back. Brady led his team to 8 consecutive regular season wins, one of which included his first 300-yard performance of the season against Buffalo. He fought back when he was left off ESPN's list of top 5 quarterbacks, fought back when Richard Sherman said he had, quote, lost his heart by dominating in Super Bowl 49, overcoming a 10-point deficit, breaking records, and adding a 4th ring to his right hand. On top of all of the talk, Brady was able to maintain his reign throughout the circus that was Deflategate, even when everyone in the country, minus Patriots fans, were ready to place a stone on his grave. His name is already scattered throughout the pages of the history books, but his contributions are not slowing down. Entering Week 6 of the 2015 season, the guy who wins 75% of the games he plays has thrown for 1,387 yards, has 11 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And chances are Brady will be looking to pad those stats during Sunday's game against the team that ignited Deflategate. Now, Michaela, Tom Brady has remained relatively quiet in regards to the entire Deflategate saga up to this point, but my guess is he's waiting to make his loudest rebuttal out there Sunday night on the football field.
Well, Ashley, with Brady's near flawless start to the season, I'd say he already has. That'll do it for now. For more in-depth analysis of every topic we covered today, make sure to log on to NESN.com/podcast. There you can find NESN's Pro Football Podcast, where Doug Kyed and I break down all the latest on the Patriots and other around the league topics. NESN's Picks Podcast with all the best advice before you place your bets. NESN's Fantasy Podcast for the best tips before you set your lineups. Make sure to come right back here next week for another edition of the NESN Football Update. For all of us here at NESN, thanks for watching.